Hello, in this lecture we will try to deal with the loading of the pages, and what we are going to do, we are basically going to display this little image which I have already preloaded. It's called loader.cvg and svg actually, and we will simply load it in a appropriate place. But before that, since everything is kind of asynchronous, and if you click on one page and then on the other and then on the other, everything will start loading and you'll get a horrible mess, to put it lightly. So what we want to do, we want to actually prevent loading any other pages once one page is loading. So to do that, we'll create a little variable, a little boolean variable. Let's do variable is loading equals false, of course, and we will start with the first page. So we will do a simple if statement. We'll do simple if statement. Let's do if is loading, then simply return just like that. Okay, so it will fail, it won't load anymore if it is in fact loading. Okay, so once it is loaded, we will uncheck this box, so to speak, or in more simple terms, we will set it to true, rather false, not true. But what we need to do also, we need to set it to true. So if it's not loading, we start the loading process, and we do is loading equals true, not f true but true, just like that. Okay, so we have that, and it will do a little prevention. Now I did put this in the wrong place. We don't want to stop loading just on the if success, so you would probably have some else, for example, and you put it in here. I won't do the else in the other ones. I'm just gonna paste it somewhere in here, just like that. So you have at loading, load handling, proper load handling, just like that. And we need our little if statement here, put it here, and it should work perfectly. Again, it's a very basic solution to a very big problem. Very simple, very readable. Okay, we have that, and now we can move on. To the fun part, and that fun part is displaying the actual image, the loading image. So first of all, let's write ourselves a little loading page. Let's do a variable like that, a little variable. Call it loading page. Let's call it loading page, and we're just gonna write it in a string, just like that. You could of course create another view and do the call and all that, but it will be a lot quicker to do it like that, and plus you won't need to actually download the page, which is the whole point in this, right? Because you just load it to the element rather than download it from the server. A little paragraph, just like that, and then we put in a little style equals. We want to align the text. Let's do text align to the center. We're gonna do, okay, just like that, center. That's it. We have a paragraph. Now we need to put in the image. Somewhere in here. So right here, let's do img, and then let's close it like that right away. Or rather, let's do the whole thing just in case. img, and then let's do src, the source, equals, so it's in the default directory, just like that, loader.svg, just like that. We have it, and now we need a little margin, otherwise we'll get it on top. we want it somewhere in the middle. So let's simply do style equals and margin top, and we will use again that vertical height VH, and let's do 35 VH. Just like that, we have our loader image. Now, where do you put it? You put it before you load something, before you start loading. So you set is loading to true, and then you put that in the main container. It's all very simple. I will actually even copy the main container and the whole thing with the inner HTML. I'm just going to assign the loading page. Okay, just like that, I have my loading page assigned. So that's for the first one, and I'm just gonna copy it and paste it in all the other ones. Just like that. Very quick, simple, and easy to do. Most importantly, it's easy and readable. Now, you might be thinking, what happens when the page is loaded? How does it unload? Well, it's quite simple. It simply gets loaded to the main container, and once the page is actually downloaded from the server, it simply gets inserted into that same main container. So all that loading stuff cleans up, and you have your page loaded. Very simple, very easy to do. And now all that's left to do is to actually launch it and see if it worked out for us. Again, it will take a few seconds to load. There's nothing to worry about there. So you do if is loading. If it is in fact loading, you don't want to load another page, you just return it and nothing happens. And then you have is loading to true. You set it to true, obviously, because you start loading something, so that if you click on the other button, it wouldn't start loading as well. Otherwise, as you saw previously in the previous lecture, you'll get a little mess on your hands. So now it should load in about a few seconds, and then in the next lecture we will start working with the actual JavaScript. We will see how to do the JavaScript for each page, how to do all that namespacing and all that. It's gonna be quite easy and very well readable. So let's see, and we do have it. Let's see if it works. See, okay, now that did seem to work. Seems that the page seems well whilst the first page at least has been loaded. Let's take a look at what might have happened. So we have is loading set to true, and then is loading set to false right here. Okay, that should be perfect. We have all that here. Is loading false, if true return. Seems to be working. Now chances are we have a problem with the actual element there. See, we have a little paragraph, and we have a closing, and we have the image, so that should all be fine. Then we have a document, right? We have a document main container, and it should be working perfectly, but something is not working. So we have is loading, right? We have is loading. It's set to false initially. Set to false, so it should start loading, and then it's set to true. And our problem is right here. I created that else statement, but in fact we do not need that. I just wanted to show how that works, but we do not need that. Now the reason we had an error, just to explain this quickly, this basically says to true, the page gets loaded into the if, and if is satisfied, therefore the else is never reached. So the isLoading variable is never changed, never set to false, which makes it unavailable for the other pages to load. That's why we saw page 1 loading perfectly and then the other pages were not working. So now we will relaunch and we will see how it all works out now. It should be quite smooth. It just was a little error. And remember, we did put a little delay. I believe it was 4000 milliseconds delay on the page 2. And on the page 2 we will clearly, or at least we should be able to clearly see what that loading icon looks like. Again, you can find these icons all over the internet. You probably will need to pay for one of these. You will need to pay some donation, something like that, or you can go on one of these platforms and order a custom one for $5 or $10. So let's do page 1. As you can see, it's been loading. Now page 2. As you can see, it's loading beautifully. And we are waiting, and we awaited for that, and it has been loaded. Page 3. See. Clicking on page 3. And now on page 2 again. So as you can see, everything loads perfectly and everything waits for everything to end. And with that, we will conclude this lecture.